a interesting task. So you are an architect and you have to get used that the questions you have included in your presentation, responsibility and so on. Of course, when you are sitting in a coach, you kind of know everything. But when it comes to real life, so I would like to ask you, so when you get all these stamps, the construction board approves your idea, and of course you have to defend and you have to make some changes, everything has to comply, fire safety and so on. But what about these universal design principles? Is any authority which is putting a stamp and saying that yes, you have also followed the principles of universal design? So is there anyone who says maybe you don't need 3 steps, but you can organize this a little bit differently? So in our society, do we have this norm? Is this as important as smoke detectors?
Yes, indeed. If we speak about third group buildings, accessibility is going to be one thing that is being checked. There is no specific stamp corresponds or not corresponds. Do look into the camera when speaking. Indeed, it is important, and the most important is the designer, the attitude of the designer, critical thinking, critical approach. Although it is a buzzword now, we use it too often, but honestly, this is the basis of everything. Legislative framework is just a way where you go, how you interpret it. It depends on you. But for you as an architect, is it an additional burden? How am I going to deal with it? Or it is your honor, the honor of the profession amongst architects? Is it just something that has to be done, or it is the matter of honor? I will evade your question because I'm working at having it naturally. I still have to think about it. Thank you very much for your honesty. But now let us listen to your vision. So you are managing DEPO projects. What you've created, you have designed several buildings. Yes, indeed. My name is ULDIS ZANDERS. I'm an architect. I have an honor to represent DEPO projects. We have 6 co-owners, 6 architects, and we all together have built many buildings. The title of this presentation was rather lengthy, and it includes also critical thinking and thinking in a creative way. So I put a subtitle, Inclusive Net. What does it mean, inclusive net? I will explain. Inclusive environment, inclusive architecture, it cannot be made without inclusive society. I've heard saying, why can't we do as in Japan, when people are helping each other? Maybe we can come up with a more simplified solution, because if there is an attitude from the society, it will not be necessary to be made specially. Maybe, but that doesn't mean that Japanese people are not thinking about technical issues of accessibility. How does inclusive society work? It is not a cauldron. It is a net and filtrating or sorting is the basis of us. We are sorting and filtering everyone and everything by critical thinking. It also has a lid. we allow things that go through the holes in our sorting net. Definition is something that can be used throughout one's life. So we have to look for critical points, points which make people not being left outside. So this is our work of architects. When reaching a certain development level, when the weakest are not dealt away with, are not killed, as in ancient societies, we are moving forward. We are saying, A, we have to come up with other letters as well. How to ensure for those people being included. Their legislation comes to our aid. Are they helping? Yes, indeed. They give us direction. We tick the boxes. I will come up with an example, a good example, not a bad one. Atgāzenes station has several ramps being built, and we receive this. Indeed, in Atgāzenes station we have a ramp which is working in correct measures with vertical boundaries, and also there it can be used for military reasons as well. So I believe that it doesn't look very good in the environment. But in this case, there were no requirements. There were no requirements for its aesthetic beauty. One had to look just for a solution. Yes, it wasn't cheap. It wasn't cheap. You have a pile of bricks and you can build a house. It can be a beautiful and an ugly one. The difference is whether you ask the architect beforehand. It is simple as that. So, universal design can be created by or based on regulations. If we are thinking in a critical way, we come to next level, inclusive design, inclusive architecture. Because I'm feeling sorry when looking at the previous picture, because the result could have been achieved in with a better solution, with a more aesthetic solution. Next adaptation is individual adaptation, and the last one is personal assistance. A lot can be achieved. I have met a group of 10 people in wheelchair in Himalaya mountain, 10 kilometers above sea level. I was asked to explain our experience when working with Origo Mall. This was a project that Linstow Baltic, our customer, has to be mentioned as an example of good attitude, because very often I have heard the fact that the client has to feel comfortable. There have been claims sometimes, and I have sometimes thought, let it be, let it be. May they come up with claims, yes or no. We have ticked all the boxes, but whether the person feels okay there, it is important. When working with this object, we wanted to receive Brim certification. We received it on the level of excellence, which is very high, especially in the level of Baltics. And when following Brim indications, it turned out that this is the same as following the basic principles of inclusive architecture, you analyze society, then you acknowledge privileges as well as some superstitions, and then you concentrate on the quality of your experience. At the moment, for example, when you can run a marathon, you might not understand the person who cannot climb the stairs. Well-being or feeling well hides in detail. The devil is in the detail. Places to fill your water bottle. You can satisfy your thirst using design bottle. Also, you can take care of the environment and at the same time be cared for yourself. This is very simple, but let's be honest, we have very few water collection places or refueling, replenishing place. This was one of the things that is present in this Origo Trade Center, Origo Mall. The next thing that was done, let's talk about inclusive architecture being next step after universal design. Inclusive architecture is meant for specific groups of people, and I'm not talking just about people with visual or hearing impairments, but or people in wheelchairs. I have sometimes felt myself as a person with special needs when following unsuccessful navigation, or when you hear inappropriate music in a shopping mall. It is similar to someone using too much perfume. And our very good friends, Excelsior, they worked at navigation, creating seamless and, but at the same time, very visible navigation. Navigation and all those signs should be seen, but only when necessary. During the other time, they are not competing with anything else one can find in the shop, or with some other signs. But at the time when you need to find a toilet, you should easily find it. You have good vision, you don't have a good vision. You are a Latvian, you are not Latvian, you are a foreigner. You should be able to read a pictogram. Irrespective of your education, you should be able to find what you are looking for. And I believe that our colleagues from Excelsior managed it in an outstanding manner. And all together, we have reached the following. That this environment is friendly for very, very many of customers. You've heard that the phrase that what fits everyone is not appropriate or is not usable for anyone. If we follow it, it's again education of society, then probably we are successful. But if it's irritating, for example, a colleague said that those lines are irritating. I cannot drag my feet. Also, I don't like that handles are in several heights. He's actually provoking me. He's also an architect. And then we return to the example of Japan. If we are tolerant, maybe we can tolerate even more for everyone to feel comfortable. People with wheelchairs, people with prams, little people that can be lost in a shopping mall. But at the same time, the product has to be sold. You have to be able to say, this office that you are going to lease is for you. Why wouldn't you pay a lot of money for something that's not for you? We have created an environment that, according to us, is beautiful and friendly for people. But then someone has to say that he is special, he is unique. You know that sometimes an area is being outlined. For example, like in a beach, that this beach is meant only for customers of this or that resort, and the rest is for everyone. So here it is very similar. Maybe you know, but you have not noticed. In Origo Mall, in order to show or give this attitude, there are 5 roof gardens that cannot be seen from below. But those gardens are meant for office employees. They have been made specially, and they can be accessed from premises of general use, and those are oases in urban environment of the city. And of course, speaking about inclusiveness, we cannot speak without speaking about mobility, especially this year, when a lot we have spoken about cyclists having special lanes, having those special poles, or having them elevated. And together with the developer and together with our colleagues, we thought of cycling lanes being also inclusive. Those are cycling lanes as well as parking places for cyclists. You can easily understand where you should park your bike and where you should drive. Also for fixing your bike. When you have finished all of that, you are only halfway through, because it is not good entirely. And the developer then invited Sustendo as a consultant, and we acknowledged problems and eliminated them. Theoretically, we could do without it, because we have followed all the regulations and we ticked all the boxes, because there were good things, medium or partial, and not good things. Very, very good audit. I suggest everyone, every developer, to use this Sustendo audit. And believe me, you will be more inclusive. So you built a house, then you call the audit. Theoretically, you should have done that when finishing the design. But there is a trick that you can use your 2D picture in a 3D way, but we, regular people, are not able to do that. So this audit is possible only when there are mistakes. Now, when we design something, we consult Apero, we consult Sustendo, many things are being solved. During construction, there are some changes in all the projects. During construction phase, many things are being disclosed that cannot be noticed during design phase. And only when the building is being constructed, and when we think that everything is going to work, And most probably, we will deliver the basics of accessibility. But we have to do even more. We have to be directed by people, by users, by target audience. So you have to budget it in. Some things, some small things. For example, another button by the door. Why isn't this door automatic? By the way, the automatic door, if you will have a look at my slide, we have many new challenges. What inclusive environment means. We have now to be able to enclose in a way that everyone can avoid others, in a way that there can be flows of people, there can be automatic doors, there can be separate flow for incoming and for outgoing people. How does people look when verifying our COVID certificates? They shouldn't look like this. They should look like this. If we take all of that into account, if we follow that, if we audit, and if we think in a critical manner when reading all the legislative acts, we will be able to create accessible and inclusive society. Thank you very much. We usually think that you can draw beautifully, you can imagine in a beautiful manner, but it turns out that you are beautiful philosophers as well. Thank you for your philosophy.